When looking for the king of podcasts, you're at the wrong channel.
Well, excuse me!
Looking for good ideas for life? You're far from good hands.
Hey, bud, what's your problem?
If you think the listener is always right, you're far from the right place.
Out of order! Even in the future, nothing works!
Hosted by a Northeasterner by birth, but a rebel by choice.
Are you threatening me?
If you want a host that floats between love and madness,
and we know the night is always gonna be here anyway. Thinking of you's working up my appetite. Looking forward to a little afternoon delight.
then play on and listen to Crazy Train Radio.
All right, guys, listen to this blues riff and B. Watch me for the changes and try and keep up, okay?
Within the gaming world, there are your general gamers, but then there are those that enjoy the dark underbelly of gaming. If you're one of those that enjoy the dark underbelly of gaming, we certainly got the place to send you. Scorpion Lair Games. That's right, Scorpion Lair Games is the creators of the true crime hit Killers, the card game. Let's not forget they also have Killers Clothing Company, their profiler game, and things like the 5-Minute Murder channel on YouTube. And we certainly can't forget the new book that is certainly a hit, Beyond the Headliners, True Crimes, Myths, and Legends. Make sure you visit Jeff and the Scorpion Lair Games on Facebook and everywhere today.
Hey, it's Brooke Bundy calling. How are you? Hope everybody's well and safe. Please, Crazy Train Radio. It's hot.
Hey folks, it's your least favorite host in the podcast world, the Croc, Jonathan Steele. And boy, do we have a good one for you today. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Boy, do we have a good one today. This one has certainly done so much. TV, film, theater, you name it, he's worked it. He also trains in many of the different aspects. But let's go ahead and welcome Joseph R. Scalini. So, as we said, folks, we have with us Mr. Joseph R. Sicari. Joe, how are you? Thank you for popping on this afternoon.
Oh, my pleasure.
And I want to give the fans full disclosure that initially we had reached out because we had the recent watch party of Night School and scheduling and all didn't work out. But I am glad to have you here right now. We are sitting here about a week or so from Thanksgiving in 2025. How are things going, both personally, professionally? How's life looking for you right now?
Well, pretty good. Pretty good, thank you. Occasionally, and right now I am executive producing uh, a series for Searchlight Pictures. That's going to be a 6-part miniseries.
Okay. Is it? Can we talk about that, or is that
Well,
still
I
hush
can't
hush?
say too much about it,
Okay. Okay. Is it going?
but go
Go ahead.
ahead.
Sorry. I was going to
No.
ask, can we talk about maybe where it will be found, or is that still?
Well, that hasn't. We're still in the program. We just turned in the first episode, written
Okay.
episode. They picked up the option again, and of course, the whole negotiations have been done.
Okay.
But this is a an incident that I was involved in that my best friend had written a book
Okay.
that journaled his particular uh, what am I going to say that he journaled this particular incident in his teaching, and then he had it published by William Morrow.
Okay.
So we have anyway, that's the thing. And then this was in 1969.
Hmm.
So it has been optioned all these years, but nevertheless, in
But
that
we're moving
interim,
forward with it then, though.
what?
I said we're moving forward with this, though.
We're moving forward with this. Yes, definitely. So in the interim, when we started, of course, I was just starting out, but in the course of the years that passed by, I have grown and my contacts have grown and whatever. And as it turned out, uh, I was left this property by my friend who passed
Okay.
away. We went to high school together, and his family was my extended family.
Okay.
So anyway, so I'm working on that and just completed. Well, we just had a premiere of a film that I was in called Caper, and that was premiered at the Look Dine and Cinema right on West 57th Street, and it was held over for 3 weeks, and then it was just brought back again for just another week. It finished last week, and I think it's going to be then shown in Los Angeles.
Nice. And I want to go back to the project you said you're, you know, going through the process with real quick. And I'm curious to know, with all the years of experience and stuff, and it's easy, I would say easier, excuse me, when you are dealing with something that somebody gives you, a script, whether it be theater, which I know you have experience with, TV, movie, whatever.
Yeah.
But is it more difficult when you're dealing with a project that you may have had a closer association with? In this case, a situation that your friend was in?
He was in, and then I participated in that project, and that had to do with his students and a thing that he was putting on. This was during a big teacher strike. Anyway, no, actually, it's more fun because, first of all, I'm the only one alive that has been there, that was there. So being valuable to the project, and as well as having experienced it,
Yeah, you
being
can
that
be.
it's a true story, it's like fighting in the Civil War and being the only one that knows what the real color of the uniforms were.
Yeah, yeah, the first-hand experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a history background, so I totally get that.
And then I just did a short film that was executive produced by Timmy Van Patten, who was one of the four directors, won an Emmy for The Sopranos, and then did Boardwalk Empire. And Timmy is like my nephew, and then did he do the Perry Mason, the
The
recent
TV
Perry
series.
Mason? Yeah, Timmy is one of the just great directors.
Well, as I hinted at there, with the TV, film,
Yeah.
etc., with my question, since you've done, I guess you would consider the three big mediums, and they all have their different
Hmm.
elements to it. Do you have a preference in what you've been involved with, whether it be theater or TV and film that you've done over the
Uh,
years?
yes, theater is
Okay.
really,
Is that because of the live reaction that you get?
it's because of the live reaction. It's much more immediate, it's consecutive, and also the rehearsal process. When you rehearse 4 weeks and you really get deep into uh, the rehearsal and your character and whatever it is. However, the being in film requires doesn't really require that in a sense because your cast uh, I mean the camera gets so into you and you don't need 4 weeks of rehearsal, so to speak, and you just you film not in sequence, and it's a more tiring process, even though you
Yeah.
spend a lot of time in your dressing room and whatever it is. It's still a more tiring process. Of course, if you're in a film for just a couple of scenes, that's different than when you're doing an entire film on location, such as in Night School. We were away and you have a lot of days that are just long days of filming. And then, you know, I always, I always fancied doing an action film,
Hmm.
having grown up in the movie, watching movies and cowboy films and finally I did get to do one called McNamara's Band. It was a pilot and a series, not a very short-lived series. And then I realized the tremendous amount of work that was involved in that. And I almost ate my words because then you're working in the hot sun and there's a lot of shooting and you're shooting on location. It was the hot summer. And of course you're doing, when you shoot, you're doing shots over and over again. So you're jumping off a roof and you're hiding behind bushes and you're sweating and it's very hot and you just want cool air and you just want to lie down.
Yeah.
So I don't know how John Wayne did all that.
Yeah. John Wayne was a different breed, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And it's
So
funny you mentioned about the doing over and over again and all that fun
yeah.
stuff. It was funny. I was just recently at a show in Kentucky, and I was shooting a breeze with a actor stuntman who's become a buddy now, and he was telling me about one project he worked on, and they were having him do the same stunt over and over again. And people don't realize, because of the camera shots, and you have to hit a certain spot. And he, kept tucking and rolling. He finally goes, "Guys, I think I broke my shoulder. Can we get this shot, or what are we doing?"
Right.
Like,
And not only do you do the same shot over and over, but you got to do uh you have to do like an over the shoulder. You do a master shot. You can do that over and over and over according to the director's satisfaction. Then you got to do the close up, and then you got to do
Yep.
the over the shoulder on you, and then you got to do the over the shoulder on me. And but there's also a lot of joy and a lot of fun in it too, you know. So especially when I had never done film, and the idea of seeing, you know, your face on a big screen, and you know the way you when you grew up in a movie theater, because I grew up in Boston where I had tons of movie theaters, and just lived in the movies. And you know, the idea, you just figured, how do I get from here where I'm sitting onto there, onto
Yeah.
the screen? And you have no idea. And of course, later in your career, when you are involved in film and you're doing film, and there are people that you're working with that you watched when you were growing up. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
there's
amazing the people that I became socially close to and became my friends. I remember, like Esther Williams became a very dear friend of mine. I saw her when I was in grammar school. Who would have ever, you know, as in life, you figure, how could I ever have projected that one day I would be friends with such and such a person, whether they be celebrities or just people that you've heard about all your life, and then you've come to be uh, very close to them, you know, later on, you know, the way.
yeah. I'm the same way with what I do here. It's like I have to pinch myself. It's like there's a lot of people that were like childhood. I don't know if you want to say heroes or whatever, but same thing. Like you said, whether I watched them on TV or film and all, then I'll be getting a phone call from them or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
what am I doing here? What did I, for all I've done wrong, what have I done right? You know, one of
Right.
those situations.
Anyway, it's been a big adventure when you've had I guess a lot of professions have allowed uh, great adventures to people. And I
Yeah.
would never have had the traveling that I've done, the people that I've met, the joy of working in different mediums. When at one time I was knocking on doors, or when I first came to New York, I literally went to the box office. You know, I would say, "Oh, I want to be in that show." And I would go to the box office guy just sells tickets.
Yeah.
But how did I know? I mean, he was there, and I would say, could I get a job, you know, in the show? How can I get in the show? Can I see somebody? And of course, that's the most ridiculous way, but you know, it was the only way I knew.
Yeah. You know what you don't know.
Yeah, you don't, and then you know, eventually you learn, and you know, you read the trade papers were the great thing. There was show business and variety, show business, and backstage. Now backstage is the only one. And there they would actually list auditions that you could go to. And you might get in a show, and and summer stock was, when summer came, suddenly there were 900 summer stock theaters, 9,000 summer stock theaters all over the country. And you sent your photo and resume, and you got auditions, and you got jobs. So in the summer was when a lot of actors worked. If they didn't work the rest of the year, they worked during the summer. And it was
So that
great. Summer stock was fabulous.
absolutely. So that kid growing up in Boston, and I don't know what your folks did for a living and such, but I'm guessing they had your traditional 9 to 5 jobs when
Mhm.
you were growing up. But what was that like when you would say, "Hey, you know what? I want to do that." like you said earlier about being on the screen or whatever the case may be, did your family and your parents look at you like, okay, Joe, like, uh, that's a great dream, kid, like pat you on the back and send you on your way, or how was that like?
Well, actually, no, because when I was in grammar school, uh, I remember there was a place called the Peabody Playhouse, and it was a community center. They had basketball, carpentry, and they had dramatics, what we call dramatics. And Ruth Roman, I don't know, she was a big Warner Brothers star, and there was Leonard Nimoy and people like that. And in the eighth grade, I went to audition for a show, and I was very embarrassed. It was an operetta, and I was just very nervous about singing in front of anybody. I said, just let me be in the chorus. Now, when I went to high school, I went to a Catholic high school. The nuns, there was this one nun who was the dramatic teacher. She had gotten her master's at Catholic University in Washington, D.C., where Alan Schneider had taught, and Walter Kerr and Susan Sarandon, John Voight went there and whatever. And she would do several shows during the year, and then the two big productions. And I was in all of them. And evidently, I showed this talent. I mean, I had tremendous amount of fun, and I did a lot of the leading roles and whatever in the shows. And the nun had encouraged me, and then she called my parents in, and she said, "I think he should study theater." And so that's what I did. I mean, it was a given, and my parents never in any way commented on it. They just accepted it. They said, "Fine." I had the autonomous choice, making my choice. I didn't have my father was an accountant. He was a CPA that worked for himself. And it wasn't that he wanted me to have any specific career. And so, and as soon as I graduated from school, there was a touring company that was connected with the drama department. And that touring company was 14 members. They did 2 Shakespearean plays, and they toured 50, what was it? How many states do we have?
50.
We had 50. So we I don't know, 30 something states in Europe. Then the Department of Defense sent us overseas for 3 months. I played in Germany. And we traveled with 2 station wagons and a truck that contained the sets. And we played mostly a lot of colleges throughout the United States, 38 states and Europe. We played a lot of colleges and certain rural places that could not sustain, say, a Broadway show coming in for a week. They would have a cultural club, and they would hire us for maybe 1 or 2 nights. And that was a big deal for those people to have us come in. And we got $60 a week. And I $15, we shared a hotel room, and we stayed in a lot of big hotels and motels. And I had them take $15 a week and put it aside for me that I would collect at the end of the touring year, and then $15 a week to feed myself. A lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but also in those days, the price of stuff was very little. Anyway, and that's what I did. And then I got drafted. And when I got out of the army, I shared an apartment with Mark Crowley, who wrote Boys in the Band.
Okay.
And then I just auditioned, and I would finally get summer stock, and you get known. And then what happened is that I auditioned for a Shakespearean company in Princeton, New Jersey, and
That's
from
about a
there,
half hour for me.
right. And
Yeah.
from there, one of the guys there had an audition for Joe Papp's Theater in the Park, the Delacorte, the New York Shakespeare Festival. He asked if I would do this audition with him. I said, sure. So he was doing Romeo, and my job was to stand behind a pillar and yell out, Romeo, yay, Romeo. That's all I had to do. So, and he did his answer to that and whatever it is. So when the audition was over, there was Joe Papp and Jerry Friedman, who was going to be directing several of the shows. Anyway, he asked if, when he finished the audition, could he be excused to go to the men's room, leaving me standing there alone and embarrassed. So in my non-witty way, I just said, I want to thank David Tress for feeding me his lines and for doing this audition with me. Now, I was very nervous, but I guess my sincerity, whatever, is they started laughing. And of course, once they started laughing, I did a lot of comedy uh, when I was auditioning, and the roles that I did were a lot of comedic roles. So they started laughing and laughing and laughing. And finally they said, you're very funny. Would you like to audition for us? So they set me up that Thursday. I auditioned, I got the part, and I did the show. I got these wonderful reviews, and I got my agents, and that started me off in New York.
Now, speaking of that, and I have two more questions for you, but with the theater, and you've done Broadway, off Broadway, regional, summer stock, all
Mhm.
that fun stuff, as you mentioned. But what was Anthony Hopkins like to work with on The Tempest?
Terrific. Terrific. We had a lot of laughs. And during that time, there was a tremendous energy crisis. And people were, you were waiting in line to get gasoline for your
So we're
car.
talking the late 70s then.
Yes. And we did
Okay.
The Tempest. And so what we did was we shared rides. And Anthony Hopkins, his job was he drove, he picked up Kenny Marshall on the way. I was the closest to the music center, to the Mark Taper Forum, and that's where where we did The Tempest. So I was the last one picked up. He, Kenny Marshall, and myself. He would pick me up. So I not only rode in the car with him both ways. So we had all that kind of intimate time, to talk and get to know each other and whatever it was, and as well as rehearsal time. And he was just great. He was terrific.
Absolutely. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring up too, and thank you for the time, is I know you've also spent a lot of time coaching, whether it be acting and also
Mhm.
as a consultant, but you coach for film, TV,
Yes.
voiceover techniques, workshops about working in the industry. So, with everything you've learned with your personal experience, what is that like to be able to turn around and give that back to the next generation?
It's incredible. It really is incredible. First of all, I studied for about 32 years with a gentleman, Milton Katselas, who also had directed several movies, several films, uh, and as well as theater. And he was, however, his genius was in teaching. And it was his influence on me and when I started teaching. And he changed my life. He really did. He opened me up because up until the time I studied with him, my range was very narrow. And that had to do with trusting myself and my self-image, that I would only do comedy and I wouldn't trust myself doing, other very serious, aggressive roles or whatever. And he opened me up. And also I used a lot of humor to cover myself, every time I did a scene in class and I would sit at the edge of the stage, I had to be funny. I had to say something funny. And he got me out of that habit to just trust myself. And not only did my range widen, I started getting serious roles, but also it affected my own life where I was not a very aggressive person. And I became much more aggressive in a good way, in a very positive, constructive way, standing up for myself and going after things and not feeling like, oh, well, I don't dare ask for this. This is too much for me to ask for such and such a role or for that kind of a thing. So he gave me tremendous confidence, and which I had once I got the role, but you have to audition. You have to ask for certain roles and you have to have that kind of confidence when you do ask. I'm not going to ask you to say, I'm not going to say to you, listen, I would like to play Hamlet in your production. I can't say, well, I mean, I don't want you to think that I'm going to ask for Hamlet, but if I feel I could play it, I'm going
There's
to
a certain confidence you want there to.
confidence that you're not going to laugh at me and say, you play Hamlet. Are you kidding me? Or if I played somebody romantic or whatever it is, and that people they're gonna take me seriously, and to be able to plumb the depths of myself, it's using yourself and a lot of your experience when you do a role. So he just changed me, and teaching other people, I think that was my most satisfactory job, is
Would you
teaching.
say the teaching has kept you sharp as far as the lessons you learned throughout your career?
Oh yeah, because every time you're talking to someone else, you're really talking to yourself. I think.
Now, I've heard that before on many occasions. So, what does the rest of the year look like for you? Do you have some work planned out or anything planned out? And
Well,
what's 2026? What kind of game plan we looking for towards?
no, I have a lot of leisure time. So, and I like to use that. I have a home in California, in Los Angeles, and I like to spend a few months out of the year there, to get out of the winter weather.
Don't
So,
blame you.
yeah. So, yeah, and go to theater and travel and be able to do that as well. And I always look forward to a project. I work out at the Actor Studio. I'm in the director's playwrights unit, and I work with playwrights a lot. I work with scripts a lot, with authors, and I used to do that. I did that as well. I did like 7 movies of the week, and I worked with individual authors in LA for TV, where I would go be consultant on the scripts, and then give them notes, and they would have to, correct them, and that was fun. I like working with playwrights. I like working
Absolutely.
with actors and playwrights. I like working with all people, and I love directing. I do
Which we
love
didn't even
directing.
get to, but you
Yeah.
have quite the directing resume, that's for sure.
Yeah. And,
Joseph.
I've directed, wonderful people, Ed Asner, Leslie Uggams. I did her one-woman show with, based on doing George Firth, who wrote, all those wonderful things. He wrote Company, the book for Company, and all. I have directed wonderful people, just very stimulating, because I have such admiration for them and their talent.
Absolutely. Joseph R. Scarini, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it. And I hope to see you again soon, whether it's in person or however we do it.
So here I say goodbye to you, Joseph R. Sicari, and take care, and thank you. It's been a nice visit.
Nice. And like I said, I hope we talk again soon, whether it's over dinner, virtually like this, some form or fashion. I hope to see you again, sir.
You bet. Take care.
Take care. Hey folks, looking for the ultimate destination for the nerd enthusiasts and collectors? Well, we found the spot for you. Nerds Nest Collectibles is a haven for nerds, geeks, and fans alike, as they have many different products and certainly more to come. Make sure you go ahead and visit them at nerdsnestcollectibles.com. Check them out.
Hi, this is Caroline Williams, the star of 10 Minutes to Midnight's Amy Marlowe, and you're listening to Crazy Train Radio.